Commander Jack Miller floated by the window of the International Space Station, watching Earth turn slowly below. His daily check of the systems was almost done. The blue planet looked peaceful from up here. No sign of the small wars and problems happening on its surface. "Commander, we have something strange on our sensors," said Rob, the young technician at the main console. His face looked worried. Jack pushed off the wall and glided over. "What kind of strange?" "Multiple objects, sir. Coming in fast. They're not on any flight path we know about." Before Jack could answer, the station shook hard. Warning lights flashed red across all screens. "We're hit," shouted Lisa, another crew member. "Something just destroyed Comsat 4. Jack grabbed the radio. "Houston, this is ISS. We have unknown craft attacking orbital satellites. Request immediate." A bright flash lit up space outside. Another satellite exploded. Then the station rocked again, harder this time. Air hissed from somewhere. "Breach in Section C." Rob yelled, already moving to seal the doors. Jack looked out the window and saw them for the first time. 5 ships, like nothing built on Earth. They were dark gray with glowing blue lines across their hulls. One turned toward the station, weapons visible. "Everyone to the escape pods now," Jack ordered. As the crew rushed to follow his command, Jack watched in horror as the alien ships moved into positions around Earth. More ships appeared from nowhere, hundreds of them. Some stayed in orbit, while others headed down to the planet. In a secure room deep under the White House, General Emma Hayes watched the satellite feeds cut out one by one. Military leaders from around the world joined the emergency call, their faces grim on the screens. "They've taken out 80% of our orbital systems," reported Colonel James from Space Command. "The ISS is damaged but still intact." "What about our defense systems?" Emma asked, keeping her voice steady. "Air forces worldwide are engaging, but our planes are being shot down fast. These ships have technology far beyond ours." The main screen suddenly changed. A face appeared that made everyone in the room fall silent. It wasn't human. Gray skin, 4 yellow eyes, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, "I am Admiral Dorn of the Vex Empire. Your planet is now under our control. We have established blockades around your major cities. Any resistance will result in orbital bombardment. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Surrender immediately." The message repeated in different languages. Emma looked around the room at the shocked faces. "Get the president to safety," she ordered, "and find me anyone who survived from the space station. I need to know what they saw up close." 3 days later, Jack Miller sat in a military hospital, his arm in a cast. He and 2 other crew members had escaped in a pod before the station was hit again. They landed in the Pacific Ocean and were picked up by a Navy ship. A nurse brought in a tablet. "General Hayes wants to speak with you, Commander." Jack nodded and took the call. Emma's tired face appeared on screen. "Commander Miller, glad you made it. What can you tell me about the attack?" "Something doesn't add up, General," Jack said. "They could have destroyed the ISS completely, but they didn't. They hit certain sections precisely. Same with the satellites. They took out communications and military assets, but left weather and scientific satellites alone." "You think they were being careful?" "I think they wanted to disable us without destroying everything. And one more thing. I watched their attack pattern from the escape pod. They're avoiding certain areas." "What areas?" "Nuclear power plants, nuclear submarine bases, anything with radiation. They won't go near them." Emma's eyes widened slightly. "You're sure about this?" "Positive. I've cross-checked with reports from around the world. They're staying away from anything nuclear." Emma was silent for a moment. "That might be our first advantage, Commander." She looked at something off-screen. "I need to go. The Vex just landed troops in Chicago and Beijing." "What's the plan, General?" Jack asked. "For now, we survive. Then we fight back." She leaned closer to the camera. "And Commander, if they made a mistake attacking us, we're going to make them regret it." The screen went dark. Jack looked out the window at the smoke rising from distant cities. The aliens had made the first move. Now it was humanity's turn. 3 weeks after the invasion, Dr. Thomas Reed worked in the basement of a bombed-out library in London. Rain leaked through the ceiling, but he didn't care. On the table in front of him lay pieces of a crashed Vex fighter. British soldiers had dragged it here 2 days ago. Thomas wiped sweat from his forehead. Before the attack, he had been a nuclear physicist at Oxford. Now he was trying to understand alien technology. "Any progress?" asked Mary, a former engineering student who helped him. Thomas nodded. "Look at this." He pointed to a small device with glowing blue parts. "I think this is their shield generator. And it has a big weakness." He held up a small radiation detector. When he moved it near the device, it made a loud beeping noise. The material breaks down when exposed to certain radiation, the same kind our nuclear plants produce. Thomas smiled for the first time in weeks. That's why they avoid nuclear sites. They can't shield against it. Mary's eyes widened. So their advanced technology has a simple flaw. Exactly, a flaw we can use. Across the Atlantic, Captain Alex Foster crouched behind a burned-out car. His team of 5 Marines moved silently through the ruins of what had been downtown Boston. They wore dirty civilian clothes and carried a mix of military and police weapons. "Target ahead," whispered Mike, the team's scout. 2 Vex guards at the door. Alex looked through his binoculars. The aliens were tall, with gray skin and heavy armor. They carried guns that fired blue energy bolts. "Remember the plan," Alex said to his team. "We need one alive and their comm device intact." He gave the signal. 2 of his people moved to different positions. Then Alex fired 3 shots into the air. The Vex guards turned toward the sound, raising their weapons. From behind, Mike and Kate struck. Mike hit one Vex with a stunner they had taken from another alien last week. Kate tackled the second one, pressing something against its neck. The alien dropped to the ground. "This one's just knocked out," Kate said. "The other is dead. The stunner was too strong." Alex moved quickly to the unconscious Vex. "Get the comm device and anything else useful. We leave in 2 minutes." Back at their hideout in an old subway tunnel, Alex's team secured the Vex soldier to a support beam. The alien was still unconscious. The comm device sat on a table, glowing softly. "Can you make it work?" Alex asked Ben, their tech expert. Ben nodded, connecting wires to his laptop. "Their language is strange, but the computer is translating some of it." Messages began appearing on the screen. Alex leaned forward, reading quickly. "This is big," he said after a few minutes. "They're having trouble with the invasion, taking much longer than they planned." "Why?" Kate asked. "Human resistance is stronger than they expected. And look at this." Alex pointed to one message. "The Vex invaded without permission from something called the Galactic Council. They wanted Earth's resources and thought we would be easy to defeat." The alien began to wake up, making strange clicking sounds. "What do we do with it?" Mike asked, pointing his gun at the Vex. "We learn everything we can," Alex said. "Then we pass the information to General Hayes. This comm device is our link to their whole network." On the Vex command ship in orbit, Admiral Dorn slammed his fist on the control panel. The latest reports showed more lost fighters and ground troops. "How are these primitive humans causing so much damage?" he demanded. His second-in-command, Officer Keel, looked nervous. "They adapt quickly, Admiral. And they're using nuclear materials to disrupt our shields." "Impossible. They shouldn't understand our technology that fast." "There's more," Keel said. "The Galactic Council has sent a message. They know we attacked Earth without approval. They're demanding we stop immediately." Dorn hissed angrily. Ignore it. We will win this war before they can intervene. Double the attacks on major cities. Sir, there's another problem. Keel pulled up a map showing red dots all over Earth. Human resistance groups are forming everywhere. Our ground forces are being ambushed. They know our weaknesses now. Dorn stared at the map, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. For the first time, a feeling of doubt crept into his mind. Had he underestimated these humans? No matter. It was too late to turn back now. Prepare all remaining ships, he ordered. We will crush them completely. Unknown to him, every word he said was being recorded by the captured comm device and sent to resistance groups all over Earth. General Emma Hayes stood in the underground command center in Montana. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing the positions of Vex ships and human resistance forces around the world. Dr. Reed's radiation weapons are ready, said Colonel James, and Captain Foster's team has given us complete access to Vex communications. Emma nodded. And Commander Miller? Recovered from his injuries. His team is in position near the captured Vex relay station in Alaska. Emma turned to face the room full of military leaders from different countries, some joined by secure video links. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself a small smile. Today we show the Vex they made a terrible mistake, she said. Operation Pushback begins in 1 hour. Dr. Thomas Reed watched as soldiers loaded his modified weapons onto trucks. Each one contained a small amount of nuclear material that would disrupt Vex shields and systems. Will they work? Asked General Lewis of the British Army. Thomas nodded. We tested them on the fighter parts. The radiation completely disables their technology. And the risk to our people? Minimal. We've contained the radiation to affect only the specific frequencies their shields operate on. Thomas checked his watch. 20 minutes until the attack begins. Captain Alex Foster and his team moved silently toward the Vex ground base outside Boston. 50 other resistance fighters followed behind. Each carried one of Dr. Reed's new weapons. Remember, Alex told them, aim for their ships first, then their command center. The Vex base was lit up with blue lights. Alien soldiers patrolled the walls. Alex's radio crackled. All teams in position, came the report from around the world. Waiting for your signal, General Hayes. Commander Jack Miller led a small team through the snowy forest in Alaska. Ahead of them stood a tall metal tower, a Vex communication relay. It connected their ships in orbit to their ground forces. Charges set, whispered one of his team members. We can blow it any time. Jack checked his watch. Not yet. First, we need to send our message. His tech expert worked on a small computer, connecting it to the base of the tower. I'm in their system, ready to broadcast when you give the word. Jack smiled. The Vex are about to learn a hard lesson about humans. In orbit, Admiral Dorn received alarming reports from around the planet. Human forces are gathering near all our bases, Officer Keel said. They seem to be preparing for something. Crush them, Dorn ordered. Send all available ships to. A loud alarm cut him off. The main screen showed a message. Incoming transmission from Galactic Council. Ignore it, Dorn hissed. Sir, I think you should. Keel started. Another alarm sounded. Enemy activity detected worldwide. General Emma Hayes gave the order. Begin Operation Pushback. All units attack now. Across the globe, human forces fired Dr. Reed's radiation weapons at Vex positions. Blue shields flickered and died. Alien ships fell from the sky, their systems disabled. In Boston, Alex and his team stormed the Vex base. The aliens' weapons stopped working when hit with the radiation. For the first time, the fight was fair. Push forward, Alex shouted. Take the command center. In Alaska, Jack Miller gave the signal. Send the message, then blow the relay. His tech expert pressed a button. Broadcasting now. Through the Vex relay, Jack's message went out to every ship in the Vex fleet, and beyond, to the Galactic Council itself. This is Commander Jack Miller of Earth. The Vex invaded our planet without provocation. They attacked civilians and destroyed our cities. We now have proof they acted without Galactic Council approval. We are defending our world and will continue to do so. Earth does not surrender. Attached to the message was all the data they had collected, the Vex's secret plans, their violations of Council law, and their underestimation of human resistance. Message sent. The tech expert confirmed. Jack nodded. Blow it. The charges exploded, and the relay tower collapsed in flames. On his command ship, Admiral Dorn watched in horror as his forces were defeated across Earth. His screen flashed with emergency signals from his ships. Our shields are failing everywhere, Keel shouted. The humans are using some kind of radiation weapon. Dorn's 4 eyes widened in shock. Prepare my personal ship. We must. The main screen changed again. A new face appeared, not human, but not Vex either. This alien had blue skin and silver eyes. Admiral Dorn of the Vex, the alien said coldly. I am Council Enforcer Rax. You have violated galactic law by attacking an undiscovered world without authorization. The Council orders you to cease all hostilities immediately. Dorn snarled. This is not the Council's concern. Earth is mine. Not anymore, Rax replied. Council ships have entered the system, and it seems the humans have found your weakness. You have 1 hour to surrender or face Council justice. As the screen went dark, Dorn looked out the viewport. Earth forces were winning battles everywhere. And now the Council was here. The Vex had made a terrible mistake. Far from Earth, on a beautiful ring-shaped space station, the Galactic Council was in session. 12 different alien species sat around a large circular table. Holograms floated above it, showing Earth and the Vex invasion. Council Representative Tala stood to speak. She was tall and slender with light blue skin and silver markings on her face. Her people, the Luma, were known for their peaceful ways and sense of justice. The evidence is clear, Tala said, her voice calm but firm. Admiral Dorn and the Vex Empire attacked Earth without Council approval. They violated our most important law. New species must be peacefully contacted and given time to adjust to galactic society. An older alien with green scales and 4 arms banged his fist on the table. The Vex must be punished. This is the 3rd time they have ignored our laws. What about these humans? Asked another council member. This one looked like a large insect with glowing eyes. The reports from Enforcer Rax are concerning. Tala nodded. Yes, the humans have surprised us all. She touched a control and new images appeared. They showed human forces defeating Vex soldiers, cities fighting back against alien technology. Dr. Reed's radiation weapons taking down Vex ships. These humans were supposed to be primitive, said the insect-like alien. Yet they found a weakness in Vex technology within weeks. They organized a global counterattack despite losing most of their communication systems. They are warriors. A quiet murmur spread through the council chamber. Most concerning, said an alien made of what looked like living crystal, is their nuclear technology. Few species develop nuclear weapons without destroying themselves. Yet humans not only survived this phase but used it to defeat the Vex. What should we do about them? Asked the 4-armed alien. If they can defeat the Vex, what might they do with advanced technology? Tala looked at each council member. I believe we should meet with them. Judge for ourselves what kind of species they are. Enforcer Rax reports that they only fought to defend themselves. They did not pursue retreating Vex ships. This shows restraint. After much debate, the council voted. Tala would go to Earth with Enforcer Rax to meet the humans. They would offer help against the remaining Vex forces. They would also learn more about this surprising new species. Enforcer Rax stood on the bridge of his ship, watching Earth grow larger on the view screen. His species, the Kryn, served as the Council's peacekeepers. They were tall with gray skin and strong bills. Unlike most Council races, they still remembered war. What do you think of them? asked his second-in-command. Rax studied the battle reports again. They adapt quickly. Most species would have surrendered when faced with Vex technology. Humans found a weakness and exploited it. They think like warriors. Is that bad? Rax was quiet for a moment. The Council has been at peace for centuries. Most species have forgotten how to fight. The Vex took advantage of that. Perhaps we need someone who remembers. His ship entered Earth orbit, joining the other Council vessels that had arrived to stop the Vex. Below, the last battles were ending as Admiral Dorn's forces surrendered or retreated. Send a message to their leaders, Rax ordered. Tell them the Council wishes to talk. In the underground command center, General Emma Hayes received the message from the Council ships. They want to meet, she told the others, to discuss what happens next. Commander Jack Miller, just returned from Alaska, looked skeptical. Can we trust them? They're aliens too. Different aliens, said Dr. Thomas Reed. According to the Vex communications we intercepted, the Council governs most of the galaxy. If they wanted to destroy us, they would have helped the Vex instead of stopping them. Captain Alex Foster joined them, still wearing dirty combat gear from the Boston battle. What do they want from us? Emma looked at the message again. They want to send representatives to discuss Earth's status in the galactic community. Seems we've gotten their attention. For better or worse, Jack said quietly. Emma straightened her uniform. We'll meet them. Captain Foster, Commander Miller, Dr. Reed. You'll join me. These aliens made a mistake thinking Earth would be an easy target. Let's make sure they understand exactly who they're dealing with. Outside, Council ships moved into position around Earth, their lights visible in the night sky. A new chapter in human history was about to begin. Dr. Thomas Reed stood in the rain, watching as soldiers loaded his radiation devices onto trucks. All around the world, his invention was changing the course of the war. The Vex could no longer hide behind their advanced shields. Dr. Reed. A young soldier ran up to him. General Hayes needs you at command right away. The Council representatives are arriving in 6 hours. Thomas nodded and climbed into a waiting jeep. As they drove through London, he saw people rebuilding. Some waved as they passed. For the first time since the invasion, there was hope. Captain Alex Foster led his team through the captured Vex base outside Boston. The alien technology was still humming, but now humans controlled it. Engineers studied the equipment, learning its secrets. Captain, called Kate, pointing to a screen. Look at this. The screen showed Vex ships falling from the sky all over the world. Their engines failed when hit by the radiation weapons. What had seemed impossible a week ago was now happening. The aliens were losing. Alex's radio crackled. Captain Foster, report to Montana base immediately. Council meeting in 5 hours. He looked at his tired team. Keep working. I'll be back soon. In orbit, Admiral Dorn watched his fleet dying. Ship after ship lost power as human weapons found their mark. His grand invasion was falling apart. Admiral, Officer Keel said nervously, we've lost 60% of our ground forces, the radiation weapons. Silence. Dorn hissed. I will not accept defeat. He turned to his weapons officer. Prepare all remaining ships. Target Earth's largest cities. If we can't have this planet, no one will. But sir, Keel protested, the Council ships are watching us. This would violate direct orders. Dorn's 4 eyes narrowed. I don't care. Launch the attack in 1 hour. Council Enforcer Rax stood on his ship's bridge, watching the battle below. His sensors detected Dorn's ship's changing position. They're preparing a large-scale attack, reported his second-in-command, against Council orders. Rax shook his head. The Vex never learn. He touched a control. All Council ships move to intercept Vex vessels. They intend to attack civilian centers. He opened a channel to Earth. General Hayes, this is Enforcer Rax. Admiral Dorn is planning a final strike against your cities. We will stop him, but be prepared. In the Montana Command Center, Commander Jack Millard looked at the new satellite images. Dorn is desperate. He's moving all his remaining ships into attack position. General Emma Hayes nodded. Our forces are ready. Dr. Reed's weapons are deployed worldwide. The Council ships are moving to intercept, Jack said, pointing to the screen. They're keeping their word to help. Good, Emma replied. But we'll help ourselves too. She turned to the communications officer. Send the order. All units fire on Vex command ships the moment they move against our cities. Dorn gave the attack order. His remaining fleet, still powerful despite the losses, moved toward Earth's atmosphere. This would be his revenge. Even in defeat, he would show these primitives the cost of resistance. Suddenly, alarms blared across his ship. Council vessels appeared, blocking his path. Behind them, more alarms. Human weapons were locking onto his ships from below. Admiral, Keel shouted, we're surrounded. On the main screen, Enforcer Rax appeared. Admiral Dorn, power down your weapons. This ends now. Never. Dorn snarled. He turned to his weapons officer. Fire. Fire on the humans. Fire on the Council ships. Fire on everything. Some Vex ships obeyed, sending energy blasts toward Earth and the Council vessels. Others hesitated, their crews unwilling to attack the Council directly. The response was immediate. Council ships opened fire with precision weapons that cut through Vex hulls. From Earth, radiation blasts rose like glowing spears, disabling ship after ship. Dorn's command vessel shook violently as hits landed. Systems failed across the bridge. Fires broke out. Sir, we've lost weapons and engines, Keel reported, his voice shaking. The hull is breached on multiple decks. Through the viewport, Dorn watched his fleet dying. His invasion, his great victory, was now a total defeat. The humans had not only survived, they had won, and the Council had sided with them. Admiral, Keel asked, waiting for orders as the ship fell apart around them. Dorn said nothing. He simply stared at the blue planet below, the planet he had thought would be such easy prey. The planet whose primitive inhabitants had somehow defeated the mighty Vex Empire. The ship shuddered again as another hit landed. Emergency lights flashed. The great invasion was over. The mistake was complete. 1 week after the defeat of the Vex fleet, a strange ship landed in a field outside Washington, D.C. Unlike the dark, angular Vex ships, this vessel was smooth and silver, with glowing blue lines running along its hull. Soldiers and tanks surrounded the landing area, weapons ready but not aimed directly at the visitors. General Emma Hayes stood at the front of the welcoming committee, with Commander Jack Miller, Dr. Thomas Reed, and Captain Alex Foster beside her. All wore formal military uniforms, cleaned and pressed for this historic meeting. Are we ready for this? Jack asked quietly. Emma gave a small nod. As ready as we'll ever be. First contact. The proper version this time. The ship's door opened, lowering to form a ramp. 2 figures walked out. The first was Enforcer Rax, tall and gray-skinned, wearing some kind of armored uniform. Behind him came a slender blue-skinned alien with silver markings on her face. General Hayes, Rax said in perfect English, I am Enforcer Rax of the Galactic Council. This is Council Representative Tala of the Luma. We come in peace. Emma stepped forward. Welcome to Earth. I'm General Hayes. These are my colleagues, Commander Miller, Dr. Reed, and Captain Foster. Tala spoke, her voice musical. We wish this meeting had happened under better circumstances. The Council deeply regrets the Vex attack on your world. Let's talk inside, Emma suggested, gesturing toward a nearby building that had been prepared for the meeting. Around a large table, humans and aliens sat together for the first time in friendship rather than combat. Maps and screens showed the damage from the Vex invasion. The Vex Empire has been officially sanctioned by the Council, Tala explained. What remains of their fleet has been ordered to return to their home system immediately. What about Admiral Dorn? asked Alex. His ship was destroyed in the final battle. Rax answered. He chose to go down with it, rather than face council justice. Emma leaned forward. What happens now? With Earth, I mean. Tala smiled, a gesture she had clearly practiced to put humans at ease. That is why we are here. The Council offers reparations for the damage done by the Vex. We can provide medical technology, help with rebuilding, and clean energy systems. In exchange for what? Jack asked, his voice cautious. The Council does not ask payment for righting a wrong, Tala replied. However, we would like to propose a limited technology exchange. There is much we could learn from each other. Dr. Reed raised an eyebrow. What could advanced aliens possibly learn from us? Rax and Tala exchanged looks. Then Rax spoke. Warfare, he said simply. Most council species evolved past war thousands of years ago. The Luma haven't fought a battle in 10 centuries. The Kryn, my people, are among the few who still maintain fighting forces, and we serve as council peacekeepers. You mean you've forgotten how to fight? Alex asked, surprised. Tala nodded. Peace has been the way of the galaxy for so long that many species no longer understand conflict. It is why the Vex, though technically less advanced than many council races, have been able to cause so much trouble. Few know how to stop them. And then they met us, Jack said with a small smile. Indeed, Rax agreed. Your species adapted to fight the Vex faster than any the Council has ever encountered. Your nuclear technology, which most species abandon after discovering cleaner energy, proved to be the Vex's weakness. And your tactical thinking. He shook his head in what seemed like admiration. The Council is concerned about these qualities, Tala added carefully, but also intrigued. The galaxy is not as peaceful as we portray. Several aggressive species are held in check only by Council intervention. Emma studied the aliens carefully. You're saying you might need us. And you need us, Tala replied. Earth is now known to the galaxy. Other species will come, some friendly, some not. Together, we could ensure a safer future for all. She placed a small device on the table, and it projected a hologram of the galaxy. A tiny blue dot highlighted Earth's position. This is your home, Tala said. And this. The hologram expanded to show thousands of stars and planets. Could be your future. The humans stared at the vastness of the galaxy now open to them. Earth's first official step into a much larger universe had begun. 5 years after the Vex invasion, Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. In orbit, a new space station served as both Earth's defense headquarters and a meeting place for visitors from across the galaxy. It was built with a mix of human and alien technology, symbolizing the partnership that had grown since first contact. Commander Jack Miller, now Admiral Miller, stood on the bridge of the Defender *, Earth's first faster-than-light ship. It had been built with Council help, but the weapon systems were purely human design, improved by Dr. Reed's discoveries. Admiral, we're ready to depart, said his first officer. Jack nodded. Take us out, Lieutenant. Standard patrol route. The Defender * moved away from Earth, its engines glowing blue. 2 smaller Council ships joined them. Together, they would patrol this sector of space, keeping watch for any threats. The galaxy, Jack had learned, was not as peaceful as the Council had claimed. In a training facility in Nevada, Captain Alex Foster, now Colonel Foster, watched as soldiers from a dozen nations practiced with new weapons. Some were modified from Vex technology, others purely human design. Against the back wall, several aliens observed the training. Council representatives learning human battle tactics. Your soldiers learn quickly, said a Kryn officer who worked with Enforcer Rax. Alex nodded. They have to. The galaxy is bigger and more dangerous than we thought. Since joining the galactic community, Earth had discovered that several aggressive species existed beyond Council space. The Vex had been just one of many. Now, human soldiers trained alongside Council peacekeepers, teaching them forgotten skills of warfare while learning about advanced technology. Next week, we'll start joint exercises in space, Alex told his alien colleague. Your ships, our tactics. Dr. Thomas Reed moved through his laboratory in Geneva, now twice the size it had been before the invasion. Scientists from Earth worked side by side with researchers from friendly council races. They studied everything from energy systems to medicine, combining their different approaches. Thomas stopped at a workstation where a young human scientist was talking excitedly with a crystalline alien. The radiation shield is working, the scientist reported. We've increased efficiency by 60% using the Luma energy matrix. Thomas smiled. The project would help protect ships from the same type of radiation that had defeated the Vex. Not all aliens were vulnerable to it. They had discovered it was important to be prepared for anything. Excellent work, he said. Send the designs to Admiral Miller's team for testing. In the Galactic Council chambers, General Emma Hayes, now Ambassador Hayes, took her seat at the main table. Around her sat representatives from dozens of alien species. Some had been council members for thousands of years. Earth had earned its place in just 5. The council recognizes Ambassador Hayes of Earth, announced the council leader, a tall Luma elder. Emma stood. Thank you. I bring news from the Rigel sector. Joint Human Council forces have successfully pushed back raiders that were attacking trading ships. The new defense systems worked perfectly. Tala, now a senior council member, smiled at Emma. Their friendship had grown over the years as they worked together to integrate Earth into the galactic community. Earth's military expertise continues to prove valuable, Tala said. The council acknowledges your contribution to peace. Emma nodded. It had not been easy to join the council. Many species feared humans' capacity for violence and rapid technological advancement. Only Earth's restraint after the Vex War had convinced them that humans could be trusted with advanced technology. We are pleased to help, Emma replied. And we have a proposal for expanding our joint peacekeeping forces. As she outlined the plan, Emma noticed other council members listening with respect. Earth had a special status in the council, the only new species in centuries permitted to maintain significant defensive forces beyond standard limits. They were the warriors in a peaceful galaxy, the protectors who remembered how to fight. Later, Tala and Emma stood together on a balcony overlooking the council world's beautiful twin suns setting over purple mountains. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if the Vex had never attacked Earth, Emma said. Tala looked thoughtful. Perhaps we would have discovered your world peacefully. Perhaps humans would have joined the council as just another species. Instead, we're the galaxy's defenders, Emma said. The Vex made a terrible mistake, Tala agreed. They thought they found an easy target. Instead, they awakened a sleeping giant and showed the galaxy exactly what humans are capable of. Emma smiled as she watched Council and Earth ships flying together in the pink-tinged sky. The Vex had attacked Earth hoping for an easy victory. Instead, they had given humanity the stars.